Is about analyzing percents from a graph. So pie charts are a great way to show results from surveys. Some pie charts show the percent of the people that answered a certain way, and some pie charts show the number of people that answered in a different way. These are different because a percent pie graph always is 100%. Whereas when we do people, it could be 100, it could be 200, it could be 500, it could be 80. It all depends on how many people voted. So the first thing we're going to do is practicing going back and forth between the number of people and the percent of people. There's many ways to do this, but there are some that are the fastest. So if we look at these charts over here, we have the first chart has a bunch of different animals, and the number after it is the votes. So to figure out how to get from the number of people to percent, we the number of people that voted a certain way by the total. So the first thing we have to do is we have to figure out how many total people voted. So if we add up cat plus dog plus fish plus bird plus lizard, we have 18 plus 12 plus 3 plus 2 plus 5, and that gets us a total of 40 votes. So to find the percent then, what we're going to do is we're going to take the votes. So let's say we're doing dogs. There were 18 dog people out of 40 people. So when we do 18 divided by 40, that gets us 0.45. And we're going to move our decimal over 2 places. So that would be 45%. On our calculator, we could also just do 18 divided by 40 and then multiply by 100 to get our percent. So either way is fine to get our answer. So let's get the rest of the percentages on our chart. So if we do 12 divided by 40, that's 0.3. If we multiply by 100, that would get us 30%. Then we have 5 divided by 40 times 100, and that would get us 12.5%. We have 2 divided by 40 times 100 is 5%. And we have 3 divided by 40 times 100, and that's 7.5%. So let's skip the next pie chart and let's move down to what happens when we have a percent. So now we have a percent and we want to figure out the people. So usually in the directions or somewhere off to the side, it's going to tell you the total number of people. So there were 500 people that took this survey, and these were the percentages. So if we want to figure out the number, we're going to take the percentage as a decimal and multiply by the people. So if I am doing milk and I have 20%, I'm going to do 0.20 times 500. So 0.20 times 500 would get us 100 people. So milk is 100 people. If we keep going around our graph, juice, we have 0.32 times 500 is going to be 160 people. Hop, we have 0.18 times 500. That's going to get us 90 people. Tea, we have 2%. So remember 2%, if we move that over, is going to be 0.02. So we have 0.02 times 500. And that gets us 10 people. And in the last one, the water, we have 0.28 times 500, and that gets us 140 people. So let's look at some problems now. The graph below shows the shoe sizes of a group of O-playing girls. So we have shoe sizes going from 5 to 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and the numbers that represent how many votes for each one. So how many girls were polled? We want to take these numbers of the responses and add them together. So when we add 14 plus 8 plus 36 plus 25 plus 39 plus 28, we get 150 girls. What percent of girls polled are size 6? So there were size 6, there were 36 girls that said their shoe size is 36 out of the 150. So we can divide 36 divided by 150 and multiply by 100, and that's going to get us 24%. The percent of girls with a shoe size of 9, there are 28 out of 150. So in our calculator, 28 divided by 150 times 100. Now this one has a decimal, so we'll just round to the nearest tenth. So that 6 is telling us to round to 18.7%. What percent of girls are a size 8? So a size 8, there were 39 out of 150 girls. We have 39 divided by 150 times 100 would get us 26%. Remember, you don't have to use your calculator to multiply by 100. You could also just take the decimal and move it over 2 places to the left. In E, use the survey results to predict how many girls would be a size 7 if the group was 200. So we don't know out of 200 how many girls have a shoe size of 7, but we know that 25 out of the 150 do. Now, this is a proportion, so to solve, we're going to cross multiply. So 150 equals 25 times 200. So we get 150x equals 5,000. When we divide, we get that x equals 33.3. Remember, we can't have a decimal of people, so we're always going to round down for people. So we would have 33 girls. In F, how many would have a shoe size of 5? So if we look at our graph up here, the shoe size of 5 is 8 girls right now. So 8 out of 150 is equal to x out of 200. So we cross multiply. 150x is equal to 8 times 200. So we get 150x equals 1,600. When we divide, we get about 10.67. Remember, we can't round up again with people, so we're just going to round down to 10 girls. Remember, rounding rules for people, we always round down. So in this graph, it shows the lunch choices of a group of 500 students at Jefferson High School. What percentage of people did not choose the burger? So if 19% chose the burger, and we know percents are always out of 100, we can subtract 100 minus 19, and we get 81%. How many people chose the burger? So if it is 19%, we can take that and turn it into a decimal, and then multiply by the number of people. So remember, you move your decimal place 2 places, so it'd be 0.19 times 500. So in your calculator, 0.19 times 500 is going to get us 95 people. How many people chose the chicken wrap? So the chicken wrap is 26%, which we can change into a decimal as 0.26 times 500. So 0.26 times 500. And that's going to be 130 people. How many people chose the deli sandwich? So there's 17 people, 17%. So 17% is 0.17 times 500. And we get 85 people. So the same survey was given at another high school with the exact same results. If the high school has 44 people that chose the chicken wrap, what is the total population? So we already found how many people chose chicken wrap at Jefferson High School. It was 130. So we have 130 over 500 equals 44 over the unknown population. So when we cross multiply, we get 130x equals 500 times 44. So we get 130x is equal to 22,000. When we divide, we get x equals 169.9 168.2. Remember, we can't have a decimal of people, so it'd be 169. Remember, you always round down when we are doing population. So if the school had 80 people that chose the special, what would the population of the school be? So we don't know how many people chose the special, but we know that was 9%. So we know 9% out of 100% is going to equal 80 over the unknown population. So when we cross multiply, we get 9x equals 8,000 because we do 80 times 100. So we get 9x equals 8,000. When we divide, we get 888.9. Remember, when it's a population, no matter how close it is to the next number, we always round down. So it'd be 888 people. Number 4, the students at the high school were asked how many kids they're living with in their household. The number of students can be seen in the pie chart below. How many people were polled? So we need to add all of the numbers of the votes. So we have to add 50 plus 18 plus 42 plus 70, and we get 180 people were polled. So what percent is the only child in their family? So 18 people out of 180 said they were an only child. So 18 divided by 180 would get us 0.1, which we can multiply by 100 to turn into 10%. Or remember, you could just move your decimal, because if we have 0.1, 1, 2, we put the 0 there for 10%. What population said they have 3 kids in their family? So there were 42 people that said they had 3 kids in their family, divided by 180. And if we multiply by 100, that's going to be 23.3%. What population have 4 or more kids? So that was 50 out of 180. So 50 divided by 180 times 100. That would round to 27.8%. Using the survey, predict how many people would have 3 kids in their family given the population size of 400. So we know that there were 42 out of 180 had 3 kids in the family. We want to know how many out of 400 would have that. So when we cross multiply, we get 180x is equal to 42 times 400. So 180x equal to 16,800. When we divide by 180, we get x is about 93.3. Remember, we always have to round down, so it'd be 93 people. We're always rounding down for population. Using the survey results, predict how many people would have 2 kids in their family. So if we go back up to our pie chart, we see 2 kids in the family is 70. So we have 70 over 180 equals x over 500. So we get 180x equals 70 times 500. 180x equal to 35,000. When we divide by 180, we get x is 194.4. Remember, we round down for people, so it'd be 194 people.